In a continent where access to quality healthcare and basic necessities are limited, hope can sometimes seem out of reach. While Africa's slow development is mostly tied to the lack of financial resources needed to turn around the continent, Sydani Group saw the challenge of underutilizing the already available funding to create a real impact in the lives of the ordinary man. With a burning desire to solve problems, Sydani Group is taking the bull by the horn and is changing the development landscape in Africa, one initiative at a time. Sydani traces its roots back to the founder's deep-seated aspiration to make a positive difference in the lives of people around the globe who face healthcare obstacles and lack financial means. Backed by a devoted team of specialists and seasoned consultants,
the organization provides technical support to governments, NGOs, partners, and various funders across different developmental programs and projects worldwide.
With focus on Africa and Nigeria, over the past 5 years, the team has primarily concentrated on various developmental projects in healthcare to improve access to quality healthcare and improve the quality of life for all individuals, especially medium to low-income earners. Like every success story, the journey for the past 5 years has its roots in humble beginnings.
Sydani started off a little more organically than some blueprint that we're just running along with. It was like, okay, let's start this, and somewhere you bend a little, you shift a little, and then the vision starts becoming even clearer. But from the get-go, the plan was always, as an organization, we want to set up an entity that can think through problems that people are not thinking through enough or are not being able to solve. So we come in and help them figure those problems out and provide solutions that are results driven and impactful. At the core of management consultancy is that capacity to critically look at any problem that you are confronted with and pull out different tools that can help solve that problem. Reaching out to people and seeking opportunities, it's tough. We had to prepare a very slim profile at the time, a few pages, and after meetings, you go and meet someone and say, I know I'm working as a consultant, but I now have an organization called Sydani. This is what we do. Oh, and the feedback, like, that's nice. Like, I like that. Can I have your profile? I'll get back to you. And most times that's it. And so you keep hoping and expecting that getting back actually happens. But a lot of times, those getting backs did not happen. So you see yourself hoping that, okay, I hope one day we won't pack up because we don't have jobs or don't have work to do. But that was never the case, because we're able to, from little by little, and the way I told the different clients that we had, test us, take a bet on us, give us little. And if we deliver well on it, then you can decide to give us more. We're not interested in that much in the funds. We just want to show you the capacity that we have and the quality that we can bring to solving the problems that you have.
So the early years of Sydani, I think they started with like 3 members of staff. One person supporting the MPHCDA. He was also providing support to Gavi and the MPHCDA. And I was working on a number of projects, one with the Office of the Vice President. And we started in a one-room office in Lungi Street. And I mean, it had its own table. There was this table that had like 4 people sitting around it. And by the end of that was 2018, I think by the end of the year, we're about 6 people, 5-6 people, give or take. And everybody worked from that same small office. So the growth was organic, but in the beginning, it was a lot of just staying in that one room and from there trying to do everything. So trying to get the right people. It was also a bit difficult trying to sell the idea of Sydani to people, because you invite people for interview and then they come, they see you in one room and they're like, no, this is not where I want to join. This is not, especially coming from wherever it is they're coming from, this is not where they see themselves working. So I think it was tough, marketing Sydani as a brand. But I would say what helped was the work. So it wasn't the people going around to say, this is Sydani. It was the work that was then people asking who did this. And at that point, you get to say, okay, my name is Sunday or my name is Awa, I'm with Sydani. The biggest challenge with any organization working in Nigeria always has to start with the people, especially if you're an organization that basically thrives on intellectual property or intellectual value. It's how you get people of like minds, how you get people that are not only about the work, but people that buy into the vision. And that's a bit hard to get, just given that it's a competition between Nigeria or organizations in Nigeria and people even relocating. So you're already starting from a point or not a very vantage point. Speaking about Mr. Sydney now, we're sort of clear in terms of what the goal is. So defining the vision and mission for Sydani, I've been part of that. It was very clear to know what the organization is being set up to achieve. So we weren't working based on the current capacity or the current size of Sydani as a day. We're working based on the Sydani that we see, the Sydani that we hope to establish. So it's been more of where you set a goal and every other thing, every milestone that you achieve, it's all leading up to the achievement of that goal. Sydani is still not where it hopes to be. Sydani is still not where the vision is for Sydani, but clearly Sydani is not where it started. So I would say celebrating Sydani at 5 is a milestone achievement in everything Sydani is set up to achieve.
I think I remember Sunday had put a call through introducing Sydani to me, and then he had asked if I was interested in an offer with Sydani. At the time, I wasn't sure what Sydani was all about, but I was interested in trying out the adventure to understand what the organization would be like. It was an NGO. I was told then it was an NGO, and it's an industry I was yet to venture into, so it sounded interesting. Joining Sydani, we're about 15 staff at the time, somewhere between 18 and 15 staff. The structure at the time was also, the structure of a small organization like you would expect. There was just me, the admin, there were the programs team, and there were a few managers. There were no proper structures in place, and coming in, I had to put in some of the things in place, the finance structures and all. And as the organization expanded, the requirement was more. You needed to ensure the structure was in line with standard as much as possible.
Before the pandemic, we were already doing a lot of work with Gavi. And during the pandemic, like I said, the whole world was reacting to how to do things, and where funds were available for things prior planned, they had to be repurposed. And one of the support we were given to the government was around financial system strengthening and management. So the first bit of work was to make funds available to even do some of these responses. So we, based on the decision by the Gavi board and all to repurpose some available resources, we had to also come in to now work with the different arms of the government, the NCDC, the NPHTDA, the Federal Ministry of Health, the UN partners, to look at the amount that was available and then help reallocate a portion of it to support the government's response to COVID-19. The culture at Sydani is a learning one. I like to say we're a learning organization, an organization that listens and has a very open mind to learning. And when you come with a mindset of learning, then the flatness of it and not having multiple hierarchies and all of those kind of barriers becomes apparent, because in Sydani, like we say, the best idea wins regardless of who it comes from. So if it's coming from that person that just joined yesterday, or it's coming from the person that's been here from the beginning, or it's coming from me, it doesn't matter. So we come with that approach of learning. Even when we want to solve a problem, learning first on how to apply all of the different tools we have to achieve that. So the culture is one of learning. The culture is one of empathy
I think I came in contact with the Sydani group right from the inception, when Mr. Sydney was trying to set up the organization. I think I'm one of the people he consulted early enough, and we shared some ideas with him. So the first project that the Sydani team managed for the Gates Foundation, which I manage, and there are many other colleagues in the office who also have had opportunity to give grants to the Sydani. Mine was the COVID grant, and it's essentially leveraging lessons from the NTDs to really see how we can use the NTD lessons to improve access to COVID vaccines and uptake of COVID vaccines. And I think they did a good job by first bringing partners at the national level together to work with the COVID team in the NPA-CDA, supporting the rollout at the national level, but also the 2 case studies that they did in Ebonyi and Yobe. Both interventions were quite successful, as we saw a significant improvement in the number of people uptaking COVID vaccines. And just last week, I saw that they've even published in one of the journals the lessons they've learned, so which was quite impressive for us. Sydani Group are one of the upcoming upstarters, and for us, we have this conscious effort in the organization to really look at local organizations. Local organizations bring local expertise, they bring local context to the conversation, so they help you domesticate global ideas. So we saw in Sydani Group one of those promising organizations that can really, over time, develop their own internal structures and mechanisms, and then be able to really compete for some of our investments.
I joined Sydani in December of 2019. So it's a little shy from 4 years. So yeah, feel free to call me an OG if you like. So being an associate entails leading a couple of projects across different work streams. I currently support, or I lead, the Niger State Management's capacity strengthening for primary healthcare managers, and what that entails is supervising my team to ensure that project deliverables done, and then clients and stakeholders are kept happy and we're delivering results basically. Now, being a mid-level manager goes just beyond working on projects. At this time, you have the interest of the company at heart. So you're thinking about Sydani's growth, and you're thinking about how Sydani can be more competitive to the outside world. So you have things that you handle that ensure that the brand is getting stronger or is being communicated effectively to the public, and you're just contributing to all-round growth. I think I can use certain words to describe Sydani's culture. The first is teamwork and collaboration. One thing that's peculiar to Sydani in comparison to other management consulting firms is there's a sense of togetherness and wanting to work together to achieve a goal. Now, what you typically find in other management consulting firms is people that are very type A personalities, very driven, and they're not afraid of stepping on other people's toes just to climb up. But Sydani, I don't want to say it's more like a family, but it's one that is very intentional on the growth of people around you. So when people have objectives to achieve, when they have tasks to deliver on, they are not shy to ask for help. And as we say, like, 2 heads are always better than one. And the ability to just, pick brains and engage in conversations, bring out the best in people, bring out the best in the work. And yeah, that's one good thing about Sydani, the level of impact that the work that we do has. Amidst just sitting down and doing my desk job, I know that I'm impacting lives in some facilities in northern Nigeria. I'm from northern Nigeria, so there's some bit of emotional connection there when I visit primary healthcare facilities and I see how the impact of my work has improved the level of health financing in a particular LGA or in a particular local government. That's a culture that keeps me going, if I may say. That's something that really does wake me up every morning, and it's like the work that I do isn't just centered around me, it's for the public, and it's amazing.
I used to have a colleague at Sydani who shares the same surname as I do, and is a really smart person. So when I knew that he was working at Sydani and there was this project that he was working on that it seemed interesting to me at the time, and I'd also heard about a couple of other projects that Sydani was doing. So I was like, okay, let's give it a try, like I think I may want to, work and all of that. And then I just put in an application, I believe, online, and then the rest they say is history. So it was really me knowing that there was someone that I really respect, working there, and the kind of projects that I had heard them do that made me quite interested, in working at Sydani.
Sydani, I'm sure a lot of people would say, is a very fast-paced organization. If you do not catch up to it, it's going to leave you in the dust. I don't know if a lot of people know this. When I was in Sydani, my first few months, I was on issues, which means I was not performing as good as I should. But, with a lot of monitoring and coaching, I was able to get on my feet and continue moving. So I would say the culture is fast-paced, but everyone in Sydani, as I know them, they are very interested in your success. So everyone, there's kind of like a family mentality. So if one person is slacking or if one person is not getting it as well as they are expected to get it, everyone around them always try to give them a helping hand. So at the end of the day, the goal and objective of the project is met.
In everything I did at Sydani, there was one thing I was able to pick, which is you have to get better at your craft. You have to get better at what you do. There's a continuous strive for excellence. That's one thing that they do not negotiate. You have to be good at what you do, and you have to deliver it effectively. And that's one key thing I picked. You cannot be mediocre. That's the Sydani story.
So some of the skills that Sydani has helped me build and has taught me, first is communication skills. Before joining Sydani, I understood stakeholder management to a reasonable extent, but working with Sydani and having to deal with stakeholders not just at the national level, but also at the grassroots level and at the global scale, has given me that opportunity to understand how to tailor conversations, approach to communication based on my audience. Another is also critical thinking, thought structuring, being able to think through a problem and basically find a way to solve it, right? How to also manage upwards, manage subordinates to ensure that at the end of the day, the goals and objective of the project is met.
I think I met Sydani first through Sydney, which he is the present head of Sydani, and we had worked on a knowledge product together, and there was this opportunity to provide technical assistance to the MPHCDA, and I think we just had this back and forth conversation, and I was selected. I was chosen to join, and at that point Sydani had to come in as the organization that was recruiting me, more they needed someone to provide that support, and Sydani just selected me to be that person. And I think it was then I was working in a bank, and it was a kind of a big decision to make because Sydani was just starting up as a new organization. I was the first staff, and it was pretty. I remembered my audit executive then at the bank telling me, why do you want to leave a career in banking to go and join a little unknown organization? But for me, I think I saw the vision. I saw that it had prospect. I think the thing with Sydney, who is the head of the organization, is that when you speak to him, it's easy to buy into his dream that, this person is a go-getter, and I think it was just easy. It was just an organization that had prospects, and 5 years later, I think it's written all over the brand. I think looking through everything, I think there's this gratification that comes with being part of something that was nothing in the beginning. there was no structure, there was no HR policy, there was nothing at that point. I think it was just Sydney's vision and pure cruise. But then he was true to his vision, and I felt like he was very deliberate. He knew exactly where he wanted to go. And I think that is one thing I've learned from working with Sydani, knowing exactly where you want to go and every single thing you're doing basically leading you to that. But looking back, I think it's been a great journey for the organization, and I am happy to be part of that journey. For me, the greatest of the achievements would be the working on the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, which was basically Nigeria's attempt at achieving universal coverage, and the sheer largeness, if I can use that word, of the program, the ability to learn and interact with different stakeholders. That was my gateway into health financing, and for me, that remains one of my biggest achievements so far in what I have done, because it was one of the largest health interventions in Nigeria, and it was just it was pretty massive. But then another key achievement I would say about Sydani was going through the process and learning some kind of key skills that have remained instrumental in my life. I do not think if I didn't go through Sydani, I don't think I would have some of those skills. And I think I'm thankful for that opportunity to be able to be where I am today, because I always say that everything good that has happened in my life started with Sydani.
Organizations that have established a sustainable and inclusive culture position themselves for tremendous success, recognizing that the future belongs to those who appreciate the significance of human capital as a vital resource for growth. Sydani shares this vision and consistently upholds the C's principles in its projects and relationships with partners.
Sydani's core values are 5, and they include innovation, impact, integrity, sustainability, and quality. Something I like to call 3IQF. How does it impact our engagement with clients? So for innovation, we're constantly asking ourselves, what if things were different? What if we had to do something differently? And how might we achieve that? So we're constantly pushing the boundaries, evolving, bringing in new ideas to make things work. So when clients come to us or partners come to us and they say they want to achieve a certain thing, the question is, what if we did it this way? Let me give you an example. What if everybody in life had an equal chance at a better life, for instance? How might we make that happen? And so for innovation, we bring in the creativity, we bring in fresh perspectives, pushing boundaries, challenging the traditional status quo. Same thing for impact. We're not just about writing reports and all. How do we get results? How do we make sure that what we set out to do is achieved? For integrity, how do we make sure that we are honest with our partners? When things are not working, we're open and transparent to say it's not working. When it's our fault, we're open and transparent enough to own that fault and to do something to address it. For quality, our mantra is redefining excellence consistently. And that's what we do at Sydani. That's what we stand for. That's one of the hallmarks of what we do to bring value to our clients. So for sustainability, it's the same thing. How do we make sure that when we're no longer supporting the government or partners to do that work that they want us to do, how does it continue so that we don't, literally we work ourselves out of a job, make sure that they're able to continue to do it as the project comes to an end. So these 5 things are the things that we apply when we engage with clients, and these are the things that we bring to conversations with them to design the interventions, the programs, the solutions that will help them to implement across different spaces and sectors. So the core values are definitely things that we look out for when we engage new hires. And as part of the recruitment process, we're asking these questions to see if they already imbibe these core values. But for some of them that don't have it all the way, when they come in, then we have an onboarding period of the first 3 months where we are supporting them to understand how we think, how we work, how we approach our work, what our work ethics are like, how we can be more professional, honest, open, and transparent. You find that a lot of people struggle to embrace failure. I call it failure. It's not really failure. When you make a mistake or you make an error, be open to owning it and to doing something to address it. We make Sydani a safe environment where people can bring out their creativity and be innovative about the things that we do, so that even when you make mistakes, you know that this is a safe environment and you can look at why you made that mistake and address the mistake, make a change and make it more positive. We also pride ourselves on giving feedback on the go. We don't believe in waiting until performance review for people to get feedback on how they're performing. So on the go, on a daily basis, in conversations, we're constantly telling people, you did this very good, well done. This other one, you could have done it this way. We think you should adjust or amend things, differently. So I would say that throughout the life cycle of an employee at Sydani, we help and support and provide that environment for them to inculcate these core values and to begin to practice them. And I tell Sydani employees a lot of things, but one of the biggest things is creativity. Not being afraid to be creative, to design, to think differently, to be imaginative, being fearless and bold. Life and work is always going to come with those days where you feel like, I'm not sure I can do this. You have that imposter syndrome and you're feeling like, everybody around me is smart. Are you sure I'm in the right place? We want the ideal Sydanite, as we say, to feel like I can do it because I have it in me to do it.
For Sydani, during the pandemic, it was an interesting time. The whole world was learning. Everyone was trying to figure out how to do business within that period. Luckily for us, our business is in intellectual property and helping design strategies, design approaches to doing things. And at that time, our work was also highly sought after because there were a lot of things that needed to be done, how to do this, how to do that, conduct this training, build capacity of these guys, develop this approach to, all kinds of things. So at the beginning, of course, we grappled with it. There were lockdowns, everybody went home, then we had just moved to a bigger office, and we're also trying to learn the work from home stuff. Luckily, there were already platforms that we were working on, Microsoft Teams, all of the different things. It was tough because at that time, interestingly and luckily, I would say for us, we actually had to do more work than what was happening out there because one, we were supporting the health sector and there was a ton of work to be done there, trying to figure out a lot of things and managing the pandemic. So while every other person was watching and waiting, we were the ones supporting the health system to mount a solid response to the pandemic. So during that period, we were actually even hiring new people. Like I like to joke, we hired some new people and also let them go during the pandemic without seeing them. We're just talking to them via the virtual means and all. So for us, it was an interesting time. Everybody was busy, very busy at the time. In fact, for some people, the higher you were, the worse it was because you had meetings from morning, almost till morning because there were schedules all over. There was no break time. There was no time in between, and you had to manage many teams and support the different arms of the government and the different things they were doing to make sure that the response to the pandemic was going right and achieving the objectives that have been set for it.
In terms of Sydani's support, over time Sydani has been positioned to strengthen the primary care system and the health system generally in the country. And of course, when the COVID-19 pandemic, when it struck, as the world and every decision makers in the world and relevant stakeholders were responding to this, Sydani was not left behind. They were very instrumental and fundamental in taking the right step towards responding to this. And in terms of the project, maybe even before the project even started, we've always been supporting the National Primary Care in guiding the decision-making process. And as the management consultant has been trusted as a technical advisor in making decisions. And in this regard, we leverage our technical assistance with MPA-CDA at that point to guide development of strategies for COVID-19 response. In the same regard, we were very instrumental in development of models for vaccine distribution when the whole vaccine thing started, and also in guiding towards what were the public health response that were needed So even from the first step of even responding to the pandemic, Sydani was there, and Sydani was one of the front runners. Now speaking to different projects, given that we've been able to establish ourselves and then demonstrate ourselves as thought leader in that regard, one of the first few projects that was contracted by the global agencies for COVID-19, we were leading that. For instance, the Gavi management technical assistance that was provided to some states, about 8 priority states, we were very instrumental in leading that, where we have technical assistance in all of these states that were guiding the government in terms of how they were responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, how they were, giving restrictions, orders to people, and also in terms of vaccine distribution across all of these locations. So, I mean, that's even something that we started with, and it's even learning from all of those processes that even led to the development of the scale strategy that then has become the adopted strategy and institutional strategy for COVID-19 response. Similar to that was the support we provided to the states in terms of adverse events following immunization, AEFI strengthening program.
My area of work for the MPACD has to do with management of the Basic Care Provision Fund. And so Sydani has worked in various capacities across the agency, working with various departments. We have over 10 departments and in various parts of the work, right? So I might not be able to immediately codify every single thing you've done in every aspect of the work. But for my part, managing the Basic Care Provision Fund under the MPACD, we are responsible for intergovernmental transfers between the federal government of Nigeria through the National Primary Care Development Agency to primary healthcare centers at the front line of delivering healthcare services to Nigerians. And we do this by transferring money through the states to the health facilities and to see that they use it for the eligible items that should be used for, and to provide the necessary training, support, supervision, and performance management framework to see that funds translates to improved quality and availability of healthcare services to Nigerians. So Sydani has been very instrumental, either directly or through implementation of grants from donor partners to achieving these objectives. And I think, if I may, I think their most useful aspect of engaging with us has actually been at the very beginning. The whole idea of the gateway and its implementation was new, and what we needed to do was really to think through the strategies of how we're going to implement the gateway, what was required in terms of guidelines, what was required in terms of individual strategies. And that was the thinking phase, and we contributed significantly to that. Of course, working with their donor partner, the RFD, they contributed to that. So I think that's probably what I still treasure as the most important aspect they played in the implementation of PACPF. So after that, they have supported many areas of monitoring and evaluation. But at that time, we already get to our feet, we are clear what to do, but it's now just being able to go through the act of doing it and doing it right in a way that becomes institutionalized and becomes routine. So they've also been, most of their support has really been in that regard. And even the current support we have from them is within the areas of monitoring and evaluation. Culture-wise, I think one of the best parts which I like about them is sort of flexibility and responsiveness. So there's a lot of flexibility in their response. So when we say this is what we want and how we want it, they have demonstrated that level of flexibility to try to actually meet up with what it is that we've required. There's been very little of the kind of things we normally get in other organizations that we say, I'm sorry, we really can't do that. We cannot, either our budget or our policy does not allow us to do that and things like that. So it's been very minimal of that in terms of, so I would like to think that one of their core cultural values is flexibility to meet client needs, because sometimes as the work starts, it's only when you start the job that you begin, often people want to have terms of reference from the very beginning, and every single minute you are reminded that, oh wow, that's not in our terms of reference. But in practical reality, it's when you start the job that things begin to evolve, that you begin to see those things that are required, which of course is linked to the terms of reference, but not specifically spelled out in the terms of reference. And without that flexibility, then we get into bottlenecks and unnecessary setbacks, because people say this one in terms of reference, we cannot do it. I think they've demonstrated that very nimbleness and flexibility in adapting the situation to the need of the clients. And I think that's one part of the culture that struck me and I think was very useful in us working together and achieving what we have achieved so far.
Sydani Group has been a partner with the US CDC for a few years now. Over the last 3 or 4 years or so, around the COVID-19 pandemic, and we began working together across several projects. So we've worked from vaccine hesitancy studies, to social listening studies, moving from studies to actual implementation of activities to reduce burden of vaccine preventable diseases. So we've worked in several states in Nigeria on COVID-19 vaccination campaigns integrated with routine immunization. Sydani has 3 major strengths that I would like to call out. I think the very first is their problem-solving abilities, and in this, again, being very nimble. The second is really analytical reasoning, trying to ensure that you solve complex problems by breaking them down into simpler bits. The third strength I think that Sydani has is in its people. The Sydani family and its staff, or is a well-oiled machine that is well put together, thinks together as a process, as a people, and helps to solve problems real time. One of the qualities I want to call out for Sydani is flexibility. Over time, this is the watchword I've used, for Sydani. Every time I see them, I think it's just being flexible to approach any issue, not just with a one-size-fits-all approach, but trying to see exactly how to get around issues and solve problems. The healthcare system in Nigeria has several issues, either with financing, fragmentation, duplication, or just even the dearth of human resource for health, inadequate, as well as maldistribution and reduced numbers. So I think that one of the areas where Sydani is seen from the US government side of things is in solving some of these issues. So where we have standalone parallel programs, Sydani has been strong in coordination, improving coordination among either EPI managers or just state actors at the national level, state level, at the lowest level, at the local level. So partnering with Sydani, the US government, the US CDC, looks towards a future where we would see a stronger collaboration at helping to reduce the burden of vaccine preventable diseases, strengthening coordination, collaboration, and partnerships across board.
Growth sometimes comes with an opportunity cost, and thanks to the sacrifices of the dedicated staff, Sydani continues to break boundaries and foster groundbreaking innovations. We take a more personal look into the lives of the superheroes who make the almost impossible achievable.
Coming in here, the number of amenities we have, from the lounges to the special meeting rooms to the special kitchens and the well-demarcated restrooms, and all for everyone, and then having the play area where people can play table tennis, play air hockey, any other kind of game. At the same time, having a good time and being able to eat, sitting on comfortable seats, is something that when I see people do that, it gives me joy that yes, the staff, they're really enjoying this. And a few things even happened when we entered here. So a number of my colleagues that are Muslim, they came on like, oh, we need a place to pray. And we looked around, I remember walking around with a few of them, like, okay, let's find a conducive area, because the lounges are not for prayer. The lounges are for people to sleep and rest, so that can be converted to prayer room. So we found a place, and we were like, oh, this is the kind of place we wanted. And it's okay, we'll think about it. And a few weeks after, we actually set it up, made it the perfect prayer place, put the shelves, the mats, everything. So today, that is something that when I see my colleagues going in there to pray, it gives me joy. When you see in the creche, there's also the conversation of, do we allow people come with their nannies? Is it going to be paid? Is Sydani going to staff a nanny as someone that you're paying just to take care of other kids, or do you want to monetize that? And we looked at the cost and we said, like, that it's not something that is too difficult for the organization to handle. So we're actually going to staff a nanny that resumes every day, and the person's work is just to take care of every kid that is there. So that means the mother or a father, as the case might be, can come with their child, and their child will be fully catered for from morning till evening, in a wonderful location, TVs and cartoons, nice beds, all the different TV songs present to make sure that the child is engaged. And in fact, there are some other ideas around having people come and do some kind of mini tutoring so the kids are even learning while also here and all. But having this thing kind of makes it that one-stop shop that you can come in and you have no worries. You have nursing mothers and staff, and they come and they do their work from morning till evening, and they don't have to bother about, oh, my kid is here, my kid is there, who will take care of it? And these are things we didn't have in our former offices. But coming here and doing that has given them that chance, and I'm really happy for how I see staff, using this and actually appreciating the value of having this kind of amenities within the organization.
Our work transcends what's the traditional definition of HR is, which is managing people. Of course, we also manage policies, we also manage processes here, and we also manage procedures. Some of these policies would be to support the program staff in implementing their projects and all of that. So it might be coming up with processes, it might be coming up with policy documents, it might also be coming up with proposals or trying to curate or articulate some sort of research content that would aid the program's people. So you see that that's a broader focus of what human resource is in itself. One thing we have done here, or one thing we've tried to do here at Sydani, is to not be the conventional kind of work organization. There are lounges that have been curated just by the corner there. Each of these floors have these lounges. So what these lounges are meant to do, they are meant for staff to step down. So when you work, and you feel overwhelmed at the point, you can go in those lounges. There are Netflix in there, Netflix and chill for those who want to. You can watch DSTV, or you can just even lay down and sleep and rest, and then come back to your work when you feel you're better. We also have a games room downstairs at the base of the building, where we have different games in the table tennis, the iron food, and all of that. Now, these games are also meant to help staff. You have cards, you have words, and all of that stuff. They are meant to also help staff to align, so much so that you're not necessarily taken over by the work all the time, because of course the work can be very demanding. Yes, it can be very demanding. There's no gainsaying that, right? But these little things that we have put in place have helped in such a way that you can balance it out, at some point.
Recognizing the importance of human capacity building, as well as mentoring the next wave of industry leaders, the Sydani Fellowship Program, SP, was birthed.
The Sydani Fellowship Program was born in line with our second mission, which is to build a team of exceptional, high-performing individuals that sets the standards for excellence. To do that, we had the first cohort, the pioneer cohort, which was then named the Graduate Internship Program, and after which we changed the name to the Fellowship Program. The goal or the aim of this program is to first build a team of exceptional candidates, and we're doing this through structured learning sessions, which is aimed at improving people's technical skills and providing on-the-job experience for young graduates. We've successfully graduated 3 cohorts, and we are currently with the 4th cohort of the Sydani Fellowship Program. The Sydani Fellowship Program also provides an opportunity for young professionals to transit into a permanent position at Sydani.
So as a fresh graduate just coming out from school, I looked through my LinkedIn and I noticed there was an organization organization called Sydani, where they have experience with public health activities. They were running different programs under the health aspect. And then I reached out to my sister who had a colleague working in Sydani. Through that, I was able to join the Sydani Fellowship Program in January 2022. We had the opportunity to learn about various projects which we were assigned to. We also had field activities. We had to travel for those projects that needed them to travel. We had intensive class training on Friday where we got to learn about communication skills, professional skills, and also basic Excel skills as well. My journey so far in the Sydani Fellowship Program has been, in one word, challenging. I'm proud to be part of that journey because it did not only give me valuable experiences, it also helped me in my personal development. It taught me how to be able to think through things before making life-changing decisions. It also gave me the opportunity to apply basic problem-solving skills in my everyday lifestyle. It is the fellowship program that I want people to apply to because it doesn't only give you the hands-on experience, you get to learn and you get to grow in various aspects of life as well. So the Sydani Fellowship Program helped me to transition seamlessly into my current role here as a senior analyst. And that's because the staff assigned to the fellowship program did not make us feel like we're fellows. We got to grow like normal staff, attend all the check-ins that they had, attend all the weekly meetings as well. So it was really easy for me to transition into this role, applying all the basic skills that I was taught during the fellowship program. I mean, now I can engage with stakeholders, attend various field activities without even having a fear to say, oh, do I even belong here? So I actually think this fellowship program is what everyone should apply for. If you have what it takes, you have the knowledge, you have the skills, you're willing to learn, then the Sydani Fellowship Program is for you.
For Sydani, the future is a combination of vertical and horizontal growth into new sectors like agriculture, energy, technology, climate change, and many more, implementing programs using already existing best practice with a mix of innovation across all sectors will ensure its continued delivery of all sectors for any present or future partners.
In the next 5 years for Sydani, I see a lot of different things, but I like to cut down the number of years. I believe 5 years is a very long time. If someone asked me when we started in our Face Me, I Face You office, I would probably say, well, in the next 2 years we'll be here, and somehow the vision always materializes earlier than some of the projections. So I've come to agree with my team that 5 years is a very long time in our lifetime. 5 years can probably be someone else's 10, 15 years. So I like to say within the next 2 years, where do I see Sydani getting to by the grace of God and the hard work of all the members that make up the organization? One, I see us significantly expanding into other geographies within Africa and beyond. And we've already started that. This year we've fully incorporated in Kenya, and we are moving into DRC and Ethiopia too in the coming weeks. So that's something that I would say in the next 2 years in those places would have fully set up all the operations, and we have fully running teams and projects. And beyond those 3 countries, also have many other countries within Africa and outside of Africa where we have our offices and providing good value to the governments and the private sector within those geographies. The other is significantly also strengthening the other aspects of Sydani outside of health. So we are pushing hard on our education sector, we are pushing hard on the energy and on the agricultural sector work that we're trying to do. So within the next 2 years too, we expect that those areas would significantly gain the traction that we expect of them and start delivering value to those parts within Africa, within Nigeria and beyond. When I look around, I like to say I see so many problems, and a lot of times it's about who will help me address them. Because I'm only one person, and finding people that can reason the same way understand the values and the vision and help drive it so that we can achieve the objectives across the different sectors is what sometimes becomes a problem. So for me, in the next 2 years, I see Sydani breaking into new geographies, significantly expanding our footprint across multiple other sectors where a lot of challenges also exist within Nigeria and beyond, and supporting those areas to become really stronger and all. And of course, for the staff, I also see our different staff here going on to do big things, become regional managers, leading regions, leading sectors, and becoming people that are sought after when solutions are being looked for across different areas.
Building an impactful future through consultancy and strategic partnerships will remain at the heart of the Sydani Group. As we celebrate 5 years of innovation and impact, we invite you to join us on this inspiring journey. At the Sydani Group, we believe in the power of collaboration and the potential of partnerships. Our mission is to create a lasting positive impact on communities worldwide, and we understand that achieving this requires working together with like-minded organizations and businesses. Over the past 5 years, our problem-solving abilities and strategic alliances have sparked innovation, transformed lives, and created a ripple effect of hope. From empowering local entrepreneurs to implementing sustainable solutions, our story has inspired benefactors and businesses both locally and globally. As we look to the future, we envision a global society where impact takes center stage and hope becomes a tangible reality for communities in need. Join us in building this future. Let's partner together and create a world that is driven by impact, delivering hope to communities across the globe. Contact the Sydani Group today and be a part of our inspiring journey.